Hey, welcome to Chumming With The Spirits. We have a special guest with us today, John with
You're the
Myth, Mullets, and...
No, Myth, Monsters, and Mullets.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've had way too much to drink.
We've been drinking way too much.
We apologize.
We're a couple hours into this.
Hopefully you can catch them on TikTok, YouTube. Do you have other channels?
Spotify.
Love Spotify.
That's going to be upgraded here in March, though. I'm getting ready to start Red Circle, so I'll be on all of them here very shortly.
Oh, nice. Like, yeah, we do Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, all those others.
And then we use RSS to
do the podcast.
Do the audio version that it does to all the Apple, Amazon, Spotify.
So his TikTok is just fun to watch. I was watching, you were interviewing people, talking, and I just started having a blast watching. So I'm like, I have to message this guy. I got to say something. I got to get his attention. Hopefully he'll come onto our podcast and maybe we can
I'll
come
be
onto
honest,
his.
So you let me know. I found you. I'm on TikTok at JD Parachum, and I followed you. I actually, not that your TikToks aren't bad. Your YouTube, I really enjoy your YouTube. You come across great. I've watched it. So that was like the TikTok's good, but yeah, the whole video that you have really good conversations with people. So.
Absolutely. So we'll put that out to you people that are watching us. You really need to follow and watch him on all of those.
Yeah.
I like your OnlyFans, by the way. Just saying.
I mean,
we don't want to talk about the midget right now.
Yeah. So I mean, well, when you get a mullet like that, you might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah. So do you want to start the episode off?
Yep. We're doing Chumming With The Spirits. Actually, Chumming With The Mullet.
Yeah.
On this particular episode, we have John with Monsters, Myth, and Mullets.
That's close.
Myths, Monsters,
and wow. We'll get there eventually.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah,
fireball shot.
Yeah,
we're doing fireball shot.
Fireball shot.
But we greatly appreciate you taking the time, especially last minute, to be able to hop in.
Oh shit! I guess we're doing it. Didn't even wait.
Okay,
I didn't bring my fireball in with me. Dag on it.
We'll have to ship you a case of it, so next time you'll be ready.
We'll get you a party keg of it for sure, my man.
Absolutely.
We can do that. We can definitely do that. So we'd like to ask you how you started with what you're doing now.
So it's kind of funny. My TikTok, if you look at it, up until about September of last year, everything's comedy. A few years ago, I created this character called John Cougar Hunter Methenkamp. And it all started because a guy at work bought this fake mullet. And we were just sitting around bull crapping, and we come up with this John Methenkamp and Meth Jagger. And we were in this fake band. You know, we just started coming up with all these backstories for this character. Well, I took it and ran with it and created a whole YouTube series of John Cougar Hunter Methenkamp. And basically he is a ladies' man from the 80s that's stuck there. And
wow. That hits too close.
He only dates older women, you know, things like that, women over 35, things like that. And I just ran with it. And so back in, I want to say, late July, late August, we were camping, and my family owns a 120-acre farm over in Indiana, or I'm sorry, in Ohio. I'm in Indiana, but
we don't blame
a
you.
large portion of it's wooded, so we go back and we primitive camp throughout the summer anytime it's nice. Well, there was one night, my wife, she had went to bed early, and I'm still, you know, probably drinking a lot of PBR and whatever else falls in my mouth. But I decided to get on TikTok Live and just start asking people if they had paranormal encounters. And it just kind of took off. Like I was doing it out in the woods, you know, campfire, that's the only light I had. And I just started just doing it. Well, weather got colder, so I started doing it on my couch. And people started, responding to it. So, a buddy of mine that I met at the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree, he's like, dude, just start a podcast. So that's how Myths, Monsters, and Mullets got started. Was basically, I was just sitting around campfire asking people for their ghost stories. That's
awesome.
I decided to keep the Meth and Camp mullet and just roll with it. So while you're watching my lives Sunday nights 7 p.m. Eastern time on TikTok, you can you'll see me. I mean, I do take it serious. I have conversations with people, but John Methenkamp sometimes works his way into the conversation, and we keep it pretty lighthearted. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a little backstory on Myths, Monsters, and Mullets.
That's really pretty parallel for how we started with Chumming With The Spirits.
Yeah,
you want to enlighten?
So we've been investigating together off and on for 10 years.
Yeah.
Way before pre-COVID, but we've tried a couple different. Tried TV shows, tried long format episodes. We ended up, we were sitting around having a few drinks on the couch in somebody's basement, and we're kind of talking about, telling stories back and forth. We all have experiences, some of them together, some of them separate, and I'm like, it'd be kind of neat to be able to just talk about that as a group, kind of like chumming with the spirits. We're drinking, getting people relaxed. Because what we find out, like when we've gone to a couple places, like most people you go, if you ask them, have you ever had a paranormal experience? 90% of the time they're going to go, no. Mm-hmm. That 10%, they're really going to get active. But if you're having alcoholic drinks and you have a couple drinks here and there, and OG says, this is my experience, this is what I ran into, or I go, well, this is what I had when I was growing up. Then they'll go, well, this one time.
Yeah, there's that one time.
That one time that turns into 15 other times that their brain just didn't want to really talk about. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I remember those footsteps. I could hear them go up the stairs. And you're like, okay, you think that might have been, that might have been paranormal, come to think of it. Yeah, nobody there. You're hearing footsteps come up to your room.
Right.
So that's how we kind of got started.
Yeah.
Goofing off pretty much, just talking about personal experiences, and then we've gone into a whole bunch of different topics.
For sure. It's funny because when you talk to some of these people, like I remember Juan and the correlations that you and him had as kids, and he's hearing you talk about these experiences, and he's like, well, son of a bitch, like, now that you mention it, I had those experiences too, and I don't know why I never thought that they could have been paranormal, but why'd you have to bring those up?
So, the conversations that we have and had people on, like Juan's a real good friend of OG, going way back, but he grew up in St. Louis in a early 1900s house. I grew up in a small town called Independence, Kansas, in a house built in 1912. We had very parallel experiences growing up. That, like, it was pretty eerie for me. Like, I mean, it was like him telling the story that I was there, because that was literally what I had dealt with, which I had not experienced. I mean, like parts of stories with people, but when he was telling, I'm like, holy cow, you had the same nightmare as me.
Our houses both burned down.
I think you guys lived together. You just didn't know
about it.
But I mean, that was a 4-part episode called Spirit of St. Louis on our podcast, which I still watch because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So we all have our own background.
I'm not the only one who sits around and watches myself on my own podcast.
Well, I always pick myself apart.
That's what I do.
Yeah, somebody that had a mullet.
I am my biggest critic.
Yeah.
Because every time I was like, man, I could have done that better. Man, that audio sucks. Man, that video sucks.
But that's
I am trying to improve with every episode.
Yeah. Well, and that's my goal for us. We're just trying to throw as many out there as we can, but I'm always pulling back, like, we have to get better. We have to do this. And
then you won't ever wear white T-shirts again.
For sure.
You find out little things once you rewatch it, like, oh, that's not a good T-shirt.
That's not a good look for me to wear. Yeah, maybe I should cover more up for sure. I think we're pretty much, and I've watched some of your stuff. I do get on your TikTok page and I look at your videos, and You do a fantastic job. I'm not just saying it because we're talking now.
Yeah, I have to admit though, with you filming in front of a fire camp, that's one of our biggest.
That's what we came up with.
Yeah, that was the
do.
goal. But the problem is the sound quality because of the snap, crackle, and pop from the fire, and then the light issue. Is we've been trying to figure out a good way to figure out how to get around that so you don't have that much noise.
Yeah. For sure.
So I don't know if you have any hidden secrets.
Yeah.
You know,
please share.
Well, as far as the lighting goes, I just got a cheap ring light that I didn't care about.
And put it next.
Okay. Up.
Oh shit.
Okay.
And then we, I have all these little battery packs, you know, like portable. What do you call them? Just battery blocks.
Yeah, that just charge.
They'll last like 2 hours on a battery block. So I just set that up a little farther away, change the setting to make it not so much like fluorescent lighting like it looks right now.
Yeah.
So even when the fire dies down a little bit, you still get that ambience of, you know, the glowing firelight.
That's pretty smart.
And then
I
use Android products, so that's why my audio sounds better.
No, good point.
That's what I use too.
Yeah.
They make fun of me all the time.
No, honestly, I do. I have the battery packs and the Harbor Freight light kick, so we can do it. Just the sound quality, like when our first live we did in a brewery.
Oh shit!
Holy cow! How much noise! And
it was brutal. We went on an investigation to Elkhorn, Wisconsin,
for the Beast of Bray Road.
For the Beast of Bray Road, a bucket list for us. I'm sure you've heard of it, John.
Yeah, I was just listening to that episode of your guys' the other day.
Oh, really? Well, we apologize. We were pretty.
Yeah.
that was really hard. Well, I was watching the Chiefs game at the same time, so I was really having a hard time staying focused during that.
That brewery was amazing. Their beers and the food. The people were amazing.
People
up
are
there.
great.
And their pretzels. Oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But we didn't. There's a fine line of having really good equipment and then having mediocre equipment. That the mediocre equipment works better because it doesn't pick up everybody's voice.
For sure.
Like we did not realize how much audio was going to be picked up off the mics in that place. Yeah. I mean, it turned out pretty decent. Like Parachum was able to get a lot of that noise. Some of it canceled out, and
was difficult.
But every time we do a live or we go somewhere, it's all like 99% learning curve of like, oh, let's not do that again.
Right,
you know?
Sure.
Even the bigger guys. I mean, you listen to Tony Merkel or Wes Germer when they do live shows. It sounds like crap, but you just have to put up with it because that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
you're going to have all this background noise,
right?
Where you're not in a studio where you can control everything. So people that listen to that, they understand that you're not in a controlled environment. So there is going to be the background noise. So I try not to even think about that.
No, yeah, I like that a lot.
So,
go ahead.
Just to throw it out there, I wanted to get your interpretation of like what your interests lie. Like in the paranormal, JD's more into I guess you would say the ghosts and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
OG's more cryptid, and then I'm more. I love the alien aspect and UFOs and that kind of thing.
So we kind of
ground each other supernatural.
Yeah, and most of my experiences are paranormal as well. I mean, I have no cryptid experiences. Now, Parachum has an amazing video that he can never share, but I've seen it.
God, you keep bringing that shit up.
A cryptid in the woods, and it's absolutely. If you've ever watched The Predator, it's just dead nut on. It's an amazing film footage. It's amazing catch. I wish you would bring that out in the public to show it, but I would like to hear your story. What's your first encounter, whether it be cryptid or paranormal? Can you give us some of that, John?
So I'll give you a quick synopsis of what happened to propel me into the paranormal.
Sure.
So the same guy that bought the fake mullet that I used to work with, he and another guy at work, they had done some small paranormal investigations at like people's houses, saying that hey, my house is haunted. Can you come over and look at it? Well, I live about 20 minutes from the Randolph County Infirmary in Winchester, Indiana. And it's been featured on a lot of paranormal shows. You know, if you look, you can find it. But we're like, you know, it would be cool if we just got a group to go down there and investigate it, you know. We all watch the shows.
Sure.
You know, things like that. So a group of us got together, we went down there, and I'm getting ready to release, it'll probably end of next month. It's all the footage and stuff that we got while we were there. But we had, from the get-go, just everything started happening. We had the typical batteries dying on equipment. You know, we heard some weird things, felt some weird things, but we decided to do an Estes experiment. And we don't know what we're doing. You know, we watched it. We watched it on that show Hellier.
Yes.
And we're like, man, that would be cool to do. Let's do that.
Can you explain that to us, John? What the Estes is?
So if you're watching, say, like Ghost Adventures or whatever, they have the spirit box, the one that goes through the radio stations, you know, and you hear the
most annoying tool out there, right?
Especially for the person that has to review shit.
Right. And it sucks whenever you're trying to go back through audio when somebody's using one of those. So, but anyway,
more than anybody can ever explain.
Yeah, he doesn't come across that.
You can't hear an EVP or anything.
No,
it's like
brutal. It's brutal.
And then after 5 minutes, you're
I basically, when I was going back through all this footage, if that thing was playing, I just ignored all the audio because there's you don't know if that came from that speaker or what, because you can't tell what directions it's coming from. It was horrible.
Yeah, right.
Looks great on TV though.
It does. It looks good on TV.
Right. And literally after listening for 5 minutes of that shit and review, me personally, I'm ready to blow my brains out.
Right. We did a small episode. I don't even know if you posted that one yet.
We haven't posted it yet. Yep.
Because it is. Like, people don't understand. Like, we watch on TV, it doesn't sound as loud as what that thing actually is, or is annoying. And it's like it sounds neat when you hear a voice come across on the TV. Like,
no, it's like going to the grocery store and your wife gives you a list and you forget something and you get back home and it's
we're gonna have to cut that one.
It's just absolutely brutal. You just can't take it any longer. I'm sorry, we're getting off subject. I'm sorry, go ahead, John. I apologize.
So in the Estes experiment, what you do, so everybody isn't listening to that annoying static sound, you attach headphones, and one person wears the headphones while wearing a blindfold.
Oh,
yeah. I've done it. It's weird.
Their only job is to repeat what they hear.
Yes.
They can't hear the questions that are being asked. They can't see lips moving, anything like that. And they're supposed to just repeat whatever they hear. Well, again, we don't know what we're doing. This is our first time ever trying this stuff. So the first guy sits down to do this Estes experiment in what was the morgue of Randolph County Infirmary. And we didn't know it at the time, but we had that sweep pattern way too fast. So he basically only heard white noise. Mm-hmm. All he heard. And I think we'd originally said we were going to do it 15 minutes apiece. I was just looking at this video the other day. He lasted, I want to say, like 6 minutes. But what happened was, he was sitting there. We're asking all these questions, and he's not saying anything. He's just sitting there. And we're like, this is a bust. This isn't working. I knew this crap was fake. Whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're just sitting there, and we're like, well, we agreed to 15 minutes. Let him stay under for 15 minutes, whatever. All of a sudden, this guy starts like breathing really heavy, and he starts swaying like back and forth. Like, what what is he doing? You know, and we're even making jokes like, is he dancing? What is he doing? Well, then he starts breathing even heavier, like hyperventilating, breathing heavy. And he screams, "I'm dead." And, you know, we're all looking at each other like, what the hell's going on here? So my one buddy goes over and he pulls the headphones off the guy and the blindfold off. Dude has tears streaming down his face.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, we're still like, you know, what the hell is going on? So this guy and his wife and then my one buddy, they go up to our command center. And I'm like, I'm going next. So anyway, we find out later that, well, so I put the headphones on and I realized, oh my God, all he heard was white noise for 6 or 7 minutes. He put himself in a trance. And that's what he did. He said later on, he's listening to this white noise and then all of a sudden it started messing with his mind. And he felt like he was walking down the hallway to the room where we were doing the Estes experiments. But he said it felt like it took like 2 hours for him to walk down this hallway. He walks into the room and sees himself sitting in the chair doing the Estes experiment. So he thought he had died and was having an out-of-body experience.
Oh my God.
And that's when he screamed, "I'm dead."
Wow.
Damn.
So like, okay, he put himself in a trance. You know, that doesn't mean it's paranormal. That's what's going through my mind at the time.
Yeah. Sure.
Denial. Yeah, that's how we all.
That's how we.
I went in as an open-minded skeptic. I liked watching these different paranormal shows, but I never had anything paranormal happen to me. So I'm like, you know, that I'm going to debunk everything that everybody finds here. That's my job. So we do these Estes experiments, and I do my own. And when I went back through the footage, because I'm a dumbass, I volunteered to go through all the footage from all the cameras, all the audio.
You
asked for it.
You were the key to making everything work. You were the foundation of that show, of you doing all that. We appreciate that.
Cog in the wheel.
The reason that I wanted to go through it was I wanted to debunk everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand the mindset.
I was going to be like, you know, you guys are in there, you think that everything's paranormal.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch this stuff, I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to figure out what it really was.
Right.
So I had already volunteered for all this stuff before we even started. So I start going back through the footage. Well, when I was doing my Estes experiment, I can't hear anything, can't see anything. And I'm watching this video, and it'll be posted on my YouTube here in a month. You can hear this couple and the guy that went up with them. No, actually, it was just the couple. Come back into the room. You can hear them coming down the steps. I say, she goes, or it may not be in this order. She goes, intruder with child, or with infant, or something along those lines. So after watching all this video, I go to the guy who had that out-of-body experience. I'm like, you know, I don't want to get too personal, but is your wife pregnant? And all the color leaves his face. He's like, why? And I tell him what I heard. And he's like, she was at that time, but she lost the baby.
Oh,
Damn.
Nobody knew that there. But I said, intruder, she goes, intruder with child or whatever, as they're walking in the room. Okay, but at that time, still don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know this till months later whenever I'm going through the footage. So while we're doing these Estes experiments, I'm like, there's too many people here. I can't, we can't get any kind of evidence with all these people in this room, like following each other around, talking and everything else.
Sure.
So Randolph County Infirmary is like 50,000 square feet. It's there's a basement, 2 levels of like where people lived, and then an attic. Well, the group wanted to go up to the attic to do more Estes experiments. I'm like, I'm staying in the basement, staying away from everybody, and I'm going to do a solo investigation by myself in the basement.
Nope.
Good for you.
And the reason I wanted to do this solo is because I had watched some of these paranormal shows where they had done investigations there, and they did get a lot of activity in the basement. Well, I'm in this kitchen, and I was like, look, I've seen some weird things tonight, batteries dying, whatever, but I need you to prove to me that ghosts are real. So I knock on the countertop next to me. I'm like, make a noise, do something, throw something, do something. In the room next to me, something bangs. It answers me. Like, okay, you got my attention. Still could have been a coincidence. So I go into that room. I'm like, okay, you got my attention, but unless you can do it again, it was just a coincidence. Bang, it happened again, right in front of me. This sound. I'm like, okay, you got me. you got me. You got my attention. Later on in the investigation, a bunch of people left. Ends up only being like 5 of us left. We're back down in that same room, and we're gathering up static cameras and things like that. I still have my audio recorder going. We had 1 video camera going, and I say to the one couple, I'm like, are you guys staying down here to do a solo? Because we were getting all kinds of stuff going on down there, and they had talked about staying down there by themselves. About this time, a rock comes flying out of the darkness and hits the cabinet next to my leg. Everybody's on camera. You can see everybody, where everybody's at. And this rock hits the cabinet right next to my leg. Okay, ghosts are real. You got me.
It's hard to deny
Ghosts are real.
something
There's,
when you have that.
you cannot convince me otherwise now. I mean, there was no explanation for that rock coming out of the darkness in an enclosed building and hitting the cabinet next to my leg. There's no other explanation for it. I knew where everybody was. There was 5 of us there.
Yeah,
We're all 5 on camera.
And to be fair,
there's no denying it to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even with all the experience I've had growing up, pretty much most of the houses I stayed in were haunted. OGs had I'm still as skeptical. That's got to be the air conditioning kicking on. That's got to. Your brain goes through all those steps until you finally hit that last one. You're like, okay, maybe that was.
Maybe there's something to this.
But yeah, when you have something like that, like out of the nowhere, you have a rock hit. You're like,
that's fantastic.
Who cares if somebody kicked the rock? Who cares if somebody threw the rock? Something just moved a rock towards you, and you're like, I don't have an answer.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned the Estes session, and I actually have an interesting story that I don't think I've ever shared with you.
Well, we did one in the McIntyre together.
Yeah, we did one in that jail that we got some stuff too.
Not the Estes session.
Okay.
Yeah, we did an Estes session.
Did we? I don't remember that shit, but okay.
Yeah, that was also you invited something into your body too, so it was a little
choice of words is important. I'm
in a jail,
say
don't say I'm open to being entered.
You have my permission to enter my body.
That's probably not a good thing to do.
But yeah, no. If you guys don't mind me sharing this experience,
no, please do.
Well, that's up to John.
Yeah,
you want to hear Perry Chumm's story?
Because I'm going to be using this video too. So go ahead.
So this was during COVID. So I want to say like 2019, 2020.
Is this before the walking pneumonia or after the walking pneumonia?
Oh, it was definitely after the walking pneumonia. It was after our stupid decision to sit in a chair that we weren't supposed to sit in and broke the world. But
that was pre-COVID. They broke the world.
Yeah, there's a story behind that.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you about that.
I still don't think they correlate, but fucking odd.
Yeah, you cursed the world. But go ahead.
Causation, correlation, I don't know.
We're at a place called the Vale Mansion in Independence, Missouri, Pretty amazing place if you look it up and see pictures of it. I don't know if they're still doing investigations there because of the Historical Society or whatnot, but that's besides the point. It was me, Jason, which you guys know, Elijah from Apex Paranormal, and our friend Miles, who's legally blind and whatnot.
Who sees them?
And they were like, let's do an Estes session. And I was like, what's an Estes session? And they explained it to me, and I was like, I'll do it. So we're on the second floor, and there's a little alcove on one side of the building where you can sit, and it's like kind of like a book crook or whatever. I don't know what they call it.
Okay,
with windows around it.
Yeah.
So I sit in there in a chair, and I start doing the Estes session. They go. I didn't realize this until afterwards because I don't like to be by myself. I had my blindfolds on. They went literally to the opposite end of the mansion, onto a fucking servant stairwell. Excuse me, I don't know if I can cuss on your podcast. I apologize.
Maybe edit it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I'm sitting there, and like, even if I had my headphones off, I wouldn't have been able to hear them asking questions. And they started asking questions, and I remember at one point, Miles and I and Jason had this friend. His name was Richard. He had all sorts of medical problems, and his voice was...
Why'd you go like that?
I don't know. That's besides the point. But his voice was very distinguishable. Like, he was part of our bowling league and whatnot. Very deep and gravelly, like someone that had been smoking for 78 years. But he wasn't 78 years old.
He is 16.
I specifically heard his voice come through on my headphones. Like, it was undenying that it was his voice. Like, I knew that voice. And I think it said, like, I'm okay, or hey, what's going on, or I don't remember exactly what it said. But I was hesitant to, like, say anything because I was like, oh, that's just weird. And then it came through again. So at that point, I took my headphones off and realized I was alone. Told them, I was like, hey, you guys, come here. Because I didn't want to walk by myself through the mansion. So they came to me, and I told them what I heard. And yeah, I'm a huge wuss.
But yeah, by the way, Parachum is probably the most scared person you'll find on any investigation you ever do. We actually have film footage of him. I shouldn't say he of his collar being pulled back when he was in a jail cell by himself. We have that on film. Yeah, and his pants were tugged as well. Scared to death. And we're all watching like, you're okay, you just keep on going. Yeah.
But that's also how you got your name.
I'm just going to put this out there. If something's grabbing me by the collar, I'm probably going to be scared too.
But he is terrified but he brings it upon himself like 50% of the time.
Well, 50%.
Yeah.
So we found out that our friend Richard, after that, passed away.
Oh, wow.
Like, literally the day before.
Really?
Holy
and I'm like, what the fuck?
You've never shared this story.
Yeah, like, that's a new one he hadn't.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how to explain that shit.
It makes more sense from a paranormal
Absolutely.
aspect that he was just saying you're okay.
Yeah, and then it's just a bullshit experience because it's not on camera.
So John, I call him out. I said, did you film it? No. Did you record it? No. Well, then it's a BS story.
But
that's where he's coming from.
Learning that after the fact, I have to say that's unusual.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if he was reaching out to one of us.
Just trying to say, he's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
I just wanted to share that because I don't think I had ever told you
No,
guys
that's
before.
amazing.
I just realized
Thank you for sharing, Larry. Parachum.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Just realized John may not understand. Parachum, your nickname
is a bitch.
I wasn't going to.
Well, you are, but it doesn't matter.
The reason why he's got that name is he. Other than the attachments that we think he has,
he brings up to my house that there's no denying. My wife did an exorcism on him 2 weeks ago.
Holy water.
With holy water.
He chums it wherever he's at. If there's if you think there's activity, if you kind of put him off to the side, it seems to go towards him like he's chumming the waters.
Yeah,
and that's actually where that parachum came from, and then Chumming With The Spirits.
We feel like it feeds on his fear.
And as scared as I get, our friend Jason, who I go out with and do a lot of investigations and sky watching and all
We
that
call him
stuff.
the Tormentor. That's his nickname.
He tries his hardest to push my buttons and put me in situations by myself that I am uncomfortable, and I usually do it.
Yeah. Well, we're uncomfortable for you.
Well, I mean, there's a certain show that they have a guy.
Yeah.
That they do the same thing
do
with.
the same thing too.
And I think it's.
Does somebody seem to get possessed in every episode?
Yeah.
I've said this before. You can't get possessed that many times and live to tell the tale.
No, not with as tight as their t-shirts are, as much as mascara as they wear as well. I'm just gonna throw.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Their shirts are so tight they're losing oxygen to their brain.
And heavy on the mascara. It's got to be what it is.
I knew there was a reason why I liked you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they think something's attached to me.
Well, we know. We know.
Well, I think it's just it's something. Well, you're not the only person out there that has that. No. It just seems like when we're in a possible paranormal scenario,
or my apartment,
or somebody's basement, or somewhere else, lights flicker. Things have a tendency to happen more if you're there versus you not there. That's what we're saying.
So we're doing a live podcast one night, and we're facing my rec room. We're in cell block 3, which is what we call this, is cell block 3, the storage area.
It's a storage area in OG's basement.
And we're watching. We're chumming, but we're still coherent. And that's not what we are right now. But we're looking out of our rec room, and Parachum and I see something about this big float across my living room that's transparent, but you can see it. It's like one of those eye things in your eye. You see those little things in your eyes, and I'm just watching it, and I look at Parachum. I go, "Did you see that?" And he's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is my house, by the way." Yeah. And we look at, and he happens to be looking in his bottle.
So like we're like, I'm literally looking at these guys, and their eyes go from regular to literally saucers, like cartoon. Their eyes just get really large. And in my peripheral, there's, of all things, a bottle of whiskey sitting in front of me. I see something in the bottle of whiskey reflect out of it moving, and it caught my... Because there's nothing in the living room. There's nothing out there. Matter of fact, we're actually recording out there just
my Kiss collection. That's all that's out there.
And their eyes go big, and I saw something move, and I'm like, "Oh, it's probably the cat," something. And they're like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, that was something."
That was real.
Yeah, and we try not to investigate our own houses, just our friends.
Yeah, we just investigate each other. But since then, we've relocated sometimes out in the rec room area. Well, when Parachum is under certain lights, the lights will flicker. We'll get noise. We've picked up voices, and this is all during.
Oh, you said those were dogs
during our podcast. That one was my dog. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Sure.
But Parachum seems to attract attention.
Some of it, I wonder if it's not, if you go looking for it enough that eventually you start finding stuff, or it maybe it's just noticing you. It's like when you buy a red car, and you're like, I have this red car, and then everywhere you go, like, what? I've never seen another red car of this type, but there's 15 of them in the town type thing. I think that's where we kind of run in. Now, I mean, we've all had paranormal experiences on our own, and together we've. Like, the bad part is
we all have parallels. We're all the youngest.
Some of my best personal experiences, that's all they are, is personal experiences, because I was too stupid to turn my phone around to record it. Or
the shadow figure I can't get.
God,
you were so mad.
I was so mad.
Yep. You know what? I did the last investigation with a certain person named Grant Wilson at the Stanley Hotel. I usually don't do this with Grant Wilson at the Stanley Hotel. And I still
at the Stanley of all places.
Yeah, we did the last investigation, and still to this day, and I have a story about it too, where we saw a full body apparition, and I was not smart enough to get my camera up, the videotape, which me and two other people collaborated. They saw as well. So it is. Stuff. You just
lock up. You're holding the camera in your hand, and you're seeing something, and it's like all I have to do is just turn my hand, and I mean, it's the same thing with when you hear about hunters and Bigfoot, and until you have that experience of like you see something that's so can't be real, and then after it happens, because it's like 2 or 3 seconds or maybe 5.
This went on for 20 seconds, and I was so mad at this individual not knowing what I was seeing.
But it also plays into parallel too. Like I remember the first investigation I ever went on. I was so excited to go over my audio recorder evidence. When I actually caught something, it wasn't necessarily like an oh fuck or oh crap.
No, it's never a Scooby-Doo moment.
I was like, that's awesome.
Well, it is because you get involved with the equipment. I mean, I'm sure you did as well. When you're acknowledging, okay, now something's there. Because hey, I am here.
But there have been times. There have been times, like recently in my apartment, when I saw that thing go through my computer and flick all the action figures off the top of my screen that were Velcroed down.
Action figures.
At that moment, I wasn't.
Are you playing with your dolls again?
At that moment,
which brings up my story, right?
Yeah. At that moment, I wasn't like, oh, awesome. I turned on all the lights, couldn't sleep, and was like, oh crap.
It's awesome when it's somebody else's house.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. It's like, this doesn't happen at my place. That's why. Like, I don't investigate my own home, but I'll investigate my friend's home.
So John, my first experience was I was very young. I was probably between the ages of 5 and 6. These guys have heard the story several times. It's not an interesting story for them by any means.
I think it is. I mean, any story is interesting.
So
knowing who you are, it makes.
I had to stay home. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I had to stay home because I wasn't feeling well from school. And my sister was leaving. She's 3 or 4 years older than I am. And she goes, hey. And she called me Chubbs. That was my nickname, Chubbs. She goes, don't play with my dolls, my Barbies, when you leave. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she goes to school, and I have my G.I. Joes out. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. She's got Barbies. So being a weird kid that I was, I this is on TikTok now, I guess. I took the clothes off her Barbies because I was curious. I was a little boy, and I had my G.I. Joes out there, and I'm playing. We're in an old house, and I'm playing in my room. And I remember there was a quiet, dead feeling. It was just really just heavy.
It's called the Oz effect.
Yeah, it was just really heavy.
Look that shit up. It's not fun.
It was just a heavy feeling like I was being watched, and that something was not right. And I remember this as of yesterday. And again, I don't think I was even...
Which is impressive of how old you are.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. This is what I have to deal with. This is why they get knuckles on their heads.
Didn't you say you were a baby boomer earlier?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry. So anyway, I just remember something was off. And I look up, and I in my room was a closet. It was a double closet where the doors slid this way or one way. It was a double closet. You can slide it both ways or just one way. Well, both doors were off to the right. And I looked up.
Standard closet.
It goes both ways.
In my closet was a little girl in a brown dress watching me play with my sister's dolls. I remember...
Wait.
Yeah.
You could see full body apparition.
Yes.
At the time, you didn't realize it was an apparition.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I'm 6 years old. I was 5 or 6 years old. I was a young kid. I didn't know what a ghost was. I never even heard of a ghost. There was a little girl sitting in my closet.
That changed fast.
Watching me play with my sister's toys. Now,
Sorry.
The only thing I can think of is the shame that I had these Barbie dolls' clothes off, naked, and then I was busted. I was in total embarrassment and shame, and all I could do is look at her, and I just remember this is not right. My gut didn't feel well, and I put my head down, and I started apologizing that I was playing with toys that were not mine. And what I did by stripping these little dolls down.
I'm not a pervert.
Obviously, I was a perverted kid with my G.I. Joes, right? And I don't know if that's even normal to this day. But
it's not, but we weren't going to discuss that. That's why you're a therapist.
Appreciate that.
That's why they make action figures where you can't take their clothes off anymore.
Yeah, so in my closet was a little girl in a brown dress with brown hair watching me. And she had a white undershirt, short sleeve shirt. And the dress had straps here, and it had like a flower pattern on the dress. I mean, I remember vividly.
That's what trauma does to you.
And I'm just like, I was so embarrassed. And I just put my head down in shame and started apologizing for doing something I shouldn't have done. And after what seemed for eternity, there was no response. I looked up and she was gone. And I didn't know what to think. I was not scared. I was.
Yeah, it's not. It's
I was
weird.
just-
Your brain's
dumbfounded.
trying to figure what this, because you don't think
No,
ghosts.
I had no idea who that girl was. I knew she didn't belong in my house.
But that's also why your sister
And-
traded rooms, right?
Well, that was a different house.
Oh, my bad.
And then
Attachment?
there was no one there but me and my mom, and I didn't know what to think. You know, I didn't know what a ghost was. So that was my first experience, like unlike yours.
So have you ever, segueing back to what I was talking about where you said it went dead silent.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in the out in, so that place that I caught that predator video, that cemetery out in the middle of nowhere?
The craziest video I've ever seen.
Yeah, you've
Jason
never
and I went out there one time, and I experienced the Oz effect. So you're out there in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and you hear frogs and crickets.
I think
and
it's-
That's when a predator's around.
Yeah.
all of a sudden, everything just goes dead silent, and you're like,
That's a
"Oh
predator.
crap!"
Yeah, it is.
That's a predator
and it's
effect.
known as the term is the Oz effect. To me, it is way more freaky when you're in a forest.
Yeah, in the woods.
In the woods in general, because you hear everything's good, and then everything goes silent.
Like
Because that just means a predator's in the area.
No wind,
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
and that happened when we were out
Oh,
there.
I just remember it being heavy.
My balls sucked into my stomach
Sure did.
so far.
Sure did. Well,
Little pea. We're not going to talk
don't-
about that. Just a little pea, maybe a brown stain.
I've only seen the video, and my ball sucked into my gut.
That's impressive on the video.
It's a very
That's the
impressive.
worst feeling. Like, I've seen stuff in the sky. I've been touched. I've been pulled. I've heard
We've
stuff.
heard that.
Yeah, that's when you go
But
on
that
night watching.
effect will leave you scared
Yeah.
to death.
Yeah, for sure.
And we apologize now, John, for all the editing you
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. Hopefully you
I don't
didn't
know
see
how much
yourself.
you've watched my videos, but I don't edit hardly anything.
Well, and the reason I bring
The only reason
up
I have
that
to edit is him,
it's true because I always say something about my wife's meatloaf and it doesn't go over well.
and that's why I have to edit that out.
But
I'm leaving it in. So
Oh,
in that same timeline, the reason I bring it up, John, not only is it my first experience, what I feel like got me going in the paranormal world, it just had to have. In that same timeline, I'm in the same house. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I was the same age, around the same age,
this is a good.
and it's probably the most terrifying thing I've ever happened in my life. John,
That's caused all his white hair.
yeah, it happened at 6. Yeah, it definitely happened at 6. I wake up, and you know, John, I don't know if you have kids or not, or nephews or nieces or whatever, but you know how you hold a child up in the air like this, and you're looking at the baby, or the child, and I wake up, and there I am, dangling in the air by myself. Something's got a hold. I know it sounds like a bull. You know, I tell my guys, if you don't have video, it's a BS story.
Well, did they have video of that back then?
Oh my goodness.
oh wow.
Well, black and white.
I'm sorry.
And this is why you may never see Parachum on this podcast again.
That was a low code. I'm sorry.
So I wake up and something's holding me in the air like you would hold a child, and I'm looking down. There's nothing in front of me. My legs are dangling. I'm probably 3 or 4 feet in the air above my bed.
I never asked you
On the
this.
room.
Did you feel something holding you?
I felt something holding me.
That's
Like
creepy.
a parent
Yeah,
picking you up.
Yeah, like you would
And
pick
how
up a
old
child.
were you again?
I was between the ages of 5 and 6.
So it's not like you're
Okay.
just dangling
Well,
there.
and keep this in mind.
So this is around the same time as the little girl in the closet.
Absolutely. That's why I bring it up, because this is the same house, the same time, and I just
Most people don't
remember.
remember that far back, by the way, because it was that traumatic. You remember it all.
Absolutely, I remember. I remember like it was yesterday.
Sounds like
I
the Bell
don't know.
Witch
As a
experience.
child, if you ever been in so much pain, you wanted to cry so hard that no sound was coming out. But that's what happened to me.
Oh, I've had that during like
I was
sleep paralysis.
I was screaming so hard and crying so hard, I was not making the sound.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I remember that I was so terrified, and I had no. what was holding me, because it was not my dad, it was not my mom, and I ended up passing out. I just remember going blank, and then the next day I woke up.
I know, and I don't think I've ever asked this. Did you ever tell your parents about these experiences?
No, but I do remember when I woke up, I ran right to my mom and dad's room, and I jumped and held my mom until I quit shivering, because I was just so terrified.
And they didn't ask, why are you doing this?
I was a mama's boy, so
Okay, no.
more than likely, it might have been par for the course, but I just remembered so much terror because I just didn't understand.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
It's
understand.
probably just a family member, being glad to see.
Yeah, Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
So you don't even remember like falling back down to the ground or being?
No, I remember
Passed out.
I remember waking up, half my body on the bed, half my body on the floor.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was my first experience at a young age.
And he remembers all the way back. How many decades ago?
Oh my gosh! Wow.
We're really not that far apart in age. I'm just giving them a hard time.
It was back in the it was back in the 70s, the early 70s. So I can tell you that.
So I have to ask John, because I'm big into like UFOs and sky watching and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever experienced anything in that realm of the paranormal?
I can send you a video that I just got about 3 weeks ago.
Please do.
That's more than what IG would
The problem is it's off a cell phone, so all lights in the sky looked exactly the same. But my wife was with me, and I'm driving, and she is commentating on what we are seeing. So
no way.
There's two witnesses to this.
I saw your wife's podcast or your introduction. You better watch it. She's going to take over your podcast.
So that's funny. The only reason that she did that introduction for me is because we thought TikTok was getting shut down.
The last one.
I kept begging her to, get on camera just one time. She thought this was going to be the last one that we were ever going to do of these lives. So she's like, okay, I'll do it this one time. Well, now I'm trying to convince her to start doing some more audio work for me. So
absolutely.
So I have one question. Is that her real hair?
No. Dude, every time I find a odd looking or funny looking mullet, I have to buy it.
I thought she said in the video, and I could be wrong, but she like, no, I woke up and it's like this, and I just started laughing so hard.
So when you listen to my comedy videos, I reference Charlene Methenkamp.
That's right.
That's my wife, and so we actually we're getting off the paranormal topic.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Yes,
and it's fine. But we actually, when I was doing all these comedy videos, we were going to do a movie, and we were going to call it the Cougar Witch Project. And the whole premise behind the movie was John Cougar Hunter Methenkamp's missing. These other cougar hunters are out looking for him, and we got a bunch of people from work and our spouses, and we got all these stupid costumes from. What we did is we went to Dollar Tree and Goodwill and just picked out the trashiest stuff that we could find. And because everybody in this storyline lives in a trailer park. So my wife, she got there's old foam rollers for her hair, the biggest, gaudiest sunglasses she could find, a freaking pink moo-moo. And I mean, just whatever we could find that just looked like trailer park. And then she did her makeup, just horrible. And she actually filmed a scene in the Cougar Witch Project. But the problem is, no matter how good your idea is, and no matter how much PBR you drink, unless you have a script and quality audio equipment, your movie's not going anywhere. And that's what we found out.
Quality audio in the woods.
The movie fell through because we didn't realize that the one good camera we had, even though it was hooked into the battery, the microphone was hooked into the battery of the camera, once the battery got to a certain level,
Oh, it cut the mic off.
the microphone just started chirping, and that's all you hear is chirp, chirp,
Yeah.
chirp, chirp.
I remember back in the
So
day.
we lost all of our audio.
Oh,
So
I remember back in the day when we were doing investigations, Rick and I, we were using one of those old night vision Sony cameras that used those little discs.
yeah.
And as you're filming, all you hear is
The actual disc recording on there. I think you might need to.
I just freaked him out.
okay. Give us 1 second.
Potty break for me. I've had like 7 of these. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Just 1 second.
Just to, I'm gonna turn the camera away from these guys because they're peeing. So
Not on screen.
good. I don't know.
Anyway.
So speaking of that, I recently just wrote a horror movie script with a full like I can't remember what you call it, but not just the script, but like scene by scene descriptions and character it had a certain term. So it was the screenplay script, but then also the like scene by scene breakdown of what was going on, and then the character profiles and all that kind of stuff.
gotcha.
I want to try to get it to fruition, but I don't know how to do it. Like that's something that you have to kind of like collab with people to do, because it's kind of hard to do yourself.
Just saying, we need to revive the Mullet Witch project.
Yeah.
Because that, I think you have a great idea on that. Because
I'm gonna put it back over here.
I remember when that movie came out, and I laughed
I threw up.
so hard. Well, yeah,
I do too. I had to send it back to the
Fucking motion
theater.
sickness.
Oh, it was the worst. It was
well,
absolutely
I mean,
the worst.
like they did the cop style video and all that, but I just laughed because like the guy threw away the map, and they're like they're lost out in the woods, and like they find those stick figures, and they're like, first off, there's water, follow where it's going, get the hell out of there. I would not have been sleeping the minute I saw the totems show up in the area. You know, it was just like, it was a bunch of me and my buddies just laughing because we camped all the time. It's like, okay, if I come across that, that's why you don't play in the NBA.
There's a lot of reasons.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Talent,
But
height.
I think your idea of them trying to find you know, as they follow the
So
trail
if you go to my TikTok, you'll find a video called Bigfoot is Real. And that is actually a scene from the Cougar Witch Project where I think I'm going to die. So I set up the camera to tell about this time that I was molested by Bigfoot. So that is a deleted scene or a lost scene from the Cougar Witch Project.
That's fantastic.
Have you seen that movie with Steve
Well, no,
Zahn,
I'm not gonna
Strange
get no sleep
Wilderness?
tonight. What's that?
Have you seen the movie Strange Wilderness with Steve Zahn and like all them? It's fucking hilarious. They're shooting this.
Oh yes, and they kill the Bigfoot.
So they're doing this whole like Wild America style, like trying to TV show, like trying to catch Bigfoot and track Bigfoot down. And at the end of the movie, they actually come across this cave that it's supposed to be in, and he walks out and like yawning and scratching, and they're like, "Ah!" and they just light his ass up and kill him, and they're like, "What did we do?"
So, do you have any other stories for us, John, that we could hear about,
absolutely.
paranormal or cryptid?
Well,
Then you can
actually
share
have
right
a
now.
bunch. Yeah, I'll go quickly through what happened after the when I realized the ghosts are real.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started listening to like Sasquatch Chronicles, you know, all the different Bigfoot podcasts, and even though I had an interest in like Bigfoot and stuff like that, I never really got into it before my paranormal encounter. So I never really paid attention, I guess you want to say. You know, I like watching Finding Bigfoot and things like that.
But it's not really real type thing, right?
Right. It was just okay. This is whatever. So I started listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, and he played a recording of the Ohio Howl.
I don't know if we've heard
And
that one.
I have not.
I've not.
Literally, You've never heard the Ohio Howl?
No.
Not the Ohio. So we did the Sierra Mountains, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know
The
Bigfoot
Ohio
was
Howl's
Japanese.
different. It was filmed or recorded by Matt Moneymaker.
Okay.
Okay, and that was kind of his claim to fame. But I had never heard it before.
Other than
But when I heard it on that show,
yeah,
the hair on my arm stood up because I had heard that back when I was a kid. And at the time I didn't know what the hell it was.
Oh, that's the whooping one, right?
No, it sounds like tornado siren.
I'm gonna have to look that one.
Really?
I'm gonna have to look that up because I haven't heard that one.
Was it?
It's like
he played it on one of the episodes.
It's
right?
like one tone going on for a long time, correct?
Right.
I have
right.
heard it.
It starts really low.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes high, and he holds it, and then it just kind of dies off. Yeah. So I grew up. Like I said, I grew up in Ohio on a horse farm, and we would spend our summers camping and horseback riding in southeast Ohio at Tar Hollow State Park. And there was one night. So my grandparents had like the old Winnebago motorhome with the bed above the captain seats in the front. Mm-hmm. Well, that's where I had to sleep. And in the summertime, my grandparents, they would not run the generator to run the air conditioner because they didn't want to hear it and whatever. And they were fine, they were down on the floor, at the
they weren't up in the heat area, at the top.
Yeah, they weren't up in the oven like me. But so, what I would do is we would listen to the radio and make sure it's not going to rain. And I would.
You okay? Sorry,
he just choked.
Sorry, John. I was thinking about you in the oven.
I didn't realize this story was having that effect on people.
Well,
maybe it's just the mullet.
No, I've been there, man. Mom and Dad would not turn the AC on except for in their bedroom while we sweated all night.
I've been in that Winnebago. Yes, I think every grandparent's
you just brought back memories, man.
And I remember laying there just sweating. Constantly, you're trying to figure out how do these windows open?
No,
they don't.
It was brutal. I'm sorry.
Well, even like up there in that loft, the windows did open, but the curtains you had to open them from underneath. So even if I wanted to move the curtains out of the way so I could get some airflow, I'd have to get out of bed to do that.
Right.
But anyway, so what I would do is we would listen to the radio. And if it was really hot, and as long as there was no rain, because our horse trailer was like a stock trailer, so it had the slits in the side.
Yeah,
It was open, for airflow or whatever. But what I would do is I would take the bales of hay that we'd bring, wrap a tarp around them, and I'd make me a bed in the horse trailer where it was cooler. Well, there was one night, I woke up and I heard what sounded like a tornado siren. Well, Tar Hollow State Park, closest town is Londonderry, Ohio. And it takes like 20 minutes to drive there. So it's a pretty good distance, and you're in the middle of the state forest. The horseman's camp down there is in a valley. So there's all these ridges between you and the town. So, I'm like, it sounds like a tornado siren, but not quite.
Well, and there shouldn't have been a tornado siren out that far, right?
Right. There's like, so at this time I'm probably, I don't know the exact year this happened because, at the time, it was just something weird that happened. I know it was before I turned 16 and probably after I turned 11, so somewhere in those years, so around 1990. So anyway, this siren sound wakes me up, but it didn't sound exactly like a tornado siren either, but close. So I listened to it, and it goes off for maybe like 30 seconds, and then it just cuts off. I'm like, that's weird. What the hell was that? And, and when it first woke me up, I thought maybe I dreamt it. Whatever. So I'm sitting there. A couple minutes later, does it again. And I'm like, that's not even coming from the direction of Londonderry. It's coming from like the center of the park. Cuts off again. Like, this is freaking weird. What is this thing? Third time it happens, I'm like, okay, if that's a tornado siren, I need to wake everybody up. But something's going on.
Right.
So I get up, get out of the horse trailer. As I'm getting ready to go into the camper, it happens a fourth time. So I hear this thing 4 times go off in probably less than 5 minutes. I go in, grab the radio, and turn it on to listen to the weather report. Clear skies. There's no rain. Nothing, no, they're not talking about any kind of weather. And my grandpa says, well, you must have dreamt it. Go back to bed. So I did.
Rub some dirt on it.
Right. So, but then I hear this 30 years later or whatever. I'm like, holy shit! I heard that. That's what I heard. And people report hearing this. And there's several recordings, not just the Ohio owl.
Yeah.
There's other recordings of this very similar sound that's associated with Bigfoot.
So do you think that would be associated with a regional species?
No, it is heard all over the United States.
Really?
They hear this sound in Florida.
Okay.
There's recordings out on the West Coast. It is and it's very similar every time it's recorded.
What's your opinion? Not to interrupt you. What's your opinion on that? Because we all have different opinions. Like, we think there's different subspecies of Bigfoot, if you will.
And I'm not gonna lie, when you played those Sierra sounds for me, this is the first time I'd ever heard them that night.
Yeah.
When I heard El Japanizo Bigfooto, I was like, that's got to be a tourist or something out in the woods. Like, that's not possible. I was like, the hair on my arm stood up.
It's unnerving. It's unnerving.
And I was just listening to a recording.
No, that's like almost all those recordings. That's one of the things that, like, when you talk to people, it literally raises the hair on the back of your neck, and it's like, if it doesn't, I don't think you understand what fear is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it makes your mullet go crazy. I mean, you have to comb that out.
Right, it stands straight up. I gotta end up with a mohawk and a mullet.
What's your theory on that, John? I mean, do you think there's different subspecies?
All I know is we go, like I said, we go camping out in the woods every summer, and I will play those Sierra sounds in the woods out there.
Man,
and
ballsy.
Balls of bronze.
Well, I mean, Bigfoot could be anywhere if Bigfoot exists, but I feel pretty safe where I'm at. But I will tell you this.
Until you're not.
I will tell you this. Other animals react to that sound.
Really?
Like, they know that sound. Like, it'll be nice. You hear the crickets and the cicadas and things like that. You start playing those sounds out in the woods, the raccoons, the squirrels, whatever, they start moving. They know what that sound is. So, to get back to your question, though, there's so many theories. You can't ignore the woo factor because there's too many reports of it, like the cloaking, the mind speak, things like that. So I can't rule that stuff out.
It's funny you brought that up.
Yeah. No, that's not funny.
But
I enjoy it.
No, I'm just saying.
I know this. What I'm about to say is sometimes controversial, and I don't care. I cannot rule out the Nephilim theory, and the reason I say that isn't because of even the woo factor. It's the government cover-up. Because there's one thing that the government does not want to be true, and that's religion. Because if religion is true, then they lose all power.
Wow.
So that, to me, would be the number one reason why they would want to cover this thing up, is because if it is Nephilim related, that proves part of the Bible. that takes away their power.
But
that's the only reason I can't give up on the Nephilim theory.
But the government doesn't cover things up, do they?
No. I didn't realize that hat was tinfoil lined. That's
How
impressive.
dare I even mention that?
So my biggest theory on the Bigfoot, and I don't know if these guys necessarily agree with it.
Probably not.
The whole what do you call it?
Infrasound?
No, the missing 411.
David Paulides.
Topic. I think Bigfoot is the main culprit behind the missing 411 accounts. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, there's some correlations with the cave patterns and
dumbassery.
Yeah, I mean, so one of my theories on it is I think there's subspecies, but I think we get kind of. I mean, I'm in the supernatural realm too, so I think there's probably forest spirits, is what you might call, that are more supernatural than actual creatures, and then we have actual creatures. Like if you came across a bear, I mean, you're not going to tell that tale if it was hungry. And when you get into the early 1800 mountain men and how they were talking about, the mountain apes and mountain devils, depending on how you go, I think there's probably more stories that never got told because they came across one in a bad mood type thing. I'm like, if it truly is a 10-foot tall primate and it's mad, or you pissed on the wrong bush, you're not making it out. Because that's one of the scary things that we kind of talked about at one point. Like OG was talking about, I'd shoot one. I'm like, okay, you shoot the first one. What are you going to do about the 3 others that are hiding in the trees around you? Because they move so, like, even if the films that they have are partially faked, the amount of how fast they move and fluid and silent, that scares the bejeebas out of me. Because I know I can't move that fast. I can only move faster than OG and Parachum.
Well, I mean, it's just take that video that I can't share into account.
Yes. How fast it moves.
It's going through densely wooded coverage that the distance it traveled in the 2 seconds that I captured it on camera, it would take me 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you would hear me.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a single freaking thing.
And more videos being captured, and you're seeing more. Because, to me, the easy fakes are when you see the head bob.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, that's a person in a suit. When you see that head do that fluid, linear movement, and it's almost quiet, that's when I'm like, okay, I might have to give some credence to that. Because that's something that can naturally move, and that's what you would expect. I mean, because even elk, when you see them run, or deer, generally most of their heads stay pretty level because they have to.
And you hear
what they're.
Well, I think, John, I really think you hit something, though, with the government cover-up, because we talk about the red-haired monsters in Saudi Arabia or whatever it was.
The native tribe and the
Giants
red
Kandahar.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you're really onto something there.
The stuff in the Grand Canyon that no one's allowed to see.
There's just, I think you really know something there.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That, to me, that's one most fascinating one. Because, there's enough documentation on that one that's like, and then Smithsonian covering all giants for.
How dare you? How dare you? That would never happen.
I know. You're gonna have to share your tinfoil with us at some point.
That's
How do you get that under your cap and not show it so well? It's just.
But you kind of. I never thought about it until you just now said it. I'm glad you opened my eyes to that a little bit. I am really appreciative of that.
Yeah, and so I bring it up a lot with OG and JD over here. It's like I'm curious to hear what you would do if I'm out in the middle of the woods and I hear either whistling or a little kid or something saying, "Help me! Come help me!"
Or just help me in general, like a female or a child.
Yeah. OG's like, "Yeah, it's a kid. I'm gonna go try to help him." Yeah. I'm gonna be like, "Screw that shit. I'm out."
But back up.
No, there's no backing up. There is backing up the other way.
He doesn't have kids, so he doesn't understand that.
No, that does make a difference, because I'll tell you what, I will die for a kid, even if it's a ghost kid. I'm going to die for it.
Oh, no.
No, you and I are on the same page as that.
Ghost kids are the most terrifying.
Because you don't have kids.
What I'm saying is, my natural instinct is, if I hear a kid in trouble, I'm going towards it.
Same here.
I don't care if I find out it's a ghost. I don't care if I find out it's a demon. I don't care if I find out it's Bigfoot, in a dress, pretending to be a kid.
Yeah.
I'm going towards the kid that needs help.
That's right.
That's just, as a man, that's what you should do.
Well, I guess I'm an asshole.
That's how I was raised.
I'm going to be like, screw you, kid. You're on your own.
He does understand. He doesn't have kids.
So I have kids. My approach is not to rush headfirst into it. I would be scouting to try to figure out where
my fat ass will be outside the woods faster than you can imagine.
Parachum's running the other way. I know OG is running directly to
I
it,
am.
and I'm going to be flanking OG and try to give him cover with whatever I might have or have not on my person. I'm out there, but I agree with that.
He has quite the gun collection, so hanging with him in the woods, I'm feeling pretty safe. But saying that, I hear like you.
Yes, no, I understand exactly what you're saying.
If I hear a kid in stress, I'm there.
But the help me, or I think the whistling is the one that bothers me the most.
That's a little different, though.
So no, I want.
And why is it that if you ask anybody from Appalachia what to do if you hear whistling in the woods after dark,
you run the fuck
everybody
away.
knows you don't answer and you get the hell out of there. So there's something to that.
Yes, it's called a survival instinct. The ones that go looking don't survive.
Do you think it's a natural, I guess, Darwinistic?
No, it's evolved.
No. Let me delve here. Do you think that it's a natural Darwinistic, evolutionary, kind of bait tactic to pretend to be a kid?
Yes.
Because they know most people are going to feel sympathetic.
Have you not heard about the crocodiles that have learned to flip upside down and wave their arms around like they're drowning to get humans to jump into the water so they can eat them?
Yeah, let that son of a bitch drown.
Yeah, exactly. So there's evolutions. It's the uncanny valley. There's at some point in time we have had to deal with something that looked human enough but creeped us the F out that we back away. Yeah. It is. I mean, everybody had like arachnophobia. Most spiders shouldn't be enough. Even the most deadliest ones generally are just going to rot off a large chunk of your skin. But we're at some point in time we had something that could definitely kill us because everybody's like, no, I ain't fucking.
No,
I got proof of that. I got bit by a brown lacrosse and I have a divot out of my ankle.
I mean, there's literally natural like certain sounds. Like a baby crying sounds that, is great unless you don't have kids and you're in a prison.
But when you're in the middle of the woods, miles away from civilization, and you hear a baby crying, that's not normal.
I just don't think you understand.
I don't.
But there's
no, I do know that like things like bobcats and things like that.
Yes,
their sounds can sound like a woman. They can sound like babies. They things like that. But at the same time, that paternal instinct kicks in, dude. I'm going towards it. I am.
Right.
I hate to say this, but thank God I'm not a parent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you checked out. There's a couple TikToks out there from the Ducks Unlimited group.
Yeah,
that they have a podcast, and generally their podcast's pretty good. But they delved into a little bit of some of the hunters, and like one of the hunters was talking about had something like he was at a tree and then left,
saw the woman,
and then saw something that looked like a naked human crawling on all fours. Got to the tree, sniffed the tree, and then sat down and goes,
"Oh yeah,
help me." And he's like, "Nope." I'm out. And I'm like,
but he actually saw it though. I think that's different. If I saw that,
that's fair.
I'm out
yes, because he's looking on a thermal, and then
that's
he
what
sees.
It was. Yeah, that's right.
Because I think if he hadn't seen it, he probably would have wandered back over. But what got me was Ducks Unlimited podcast actually talking about something that's normally taboo. But I think we're getting enough evidence out there now that there's, not to say it's proof, but there's like, hey, maybe you should think about it compared to like the early 1700s. Everybody knew about. Oh, you don't answer the whistle in the woods. Are you nuts? That's close your doors, shut your blinds.
So thinking about it now after hearing you guys talk. Am I an a-hole?
Yes.
Well, yes,
besides the point.
Absolutely you are.
Yeah, John.
I don't even know you, and I'm calling you an asshole.
We all concur.
Okay, we're done. Podcast over. Thank you for chiming in.
I understand the paternal instinct, but when you're in that situation and you hear something that shouldn't be happening, that's unnatural.
Yeah, it shouldn't be happening.
My gut instinct is to don't investigate.
No, I think that's something biological that literally clicks in your brain. That like, yeah. No, I mean the amount of wrath and destruction I would do if I thought it was let alone my own kid or some.
I get that, but it's a hard one because I don't have that experience.
As a father,
well, it literally is like Ryan Reynolds. I think explained it the best when he had the interview about when he saw his first daughter. He's like, because he's talking about his wife.
That's not mine.
Well, he's talking about his wife and like how he loved her and their partners and all that. And then his daughter was born, and the second he saw the daughter, he realized he would use his wife as a body shield to protect that kid.
Absolutely.
And, I mean,
damn.
absolutely, yes.
Wrong.
No, that's correct.
It literally is like a light switch.
Yeah.
Like the hell has no fury that I would do to protect my own kid, let alone another kid that I think is
No, you're right, and I don't want to get off the subject too much, but I remember when Liz and I were we had a cabin out in Siren, Wisconsin, off Crooked Lake.
Cabin in the woods.
It was cabin on the lake, Siren, Wisconsin, on Crooked Lake, and she wanted to go down. She wanted to go see this waterfall. So we had the kids. The kids were 3 and 5, and we had a baby stroller for Brandon. He was in there, and she wanted to go see this beautiful waterfall. So we're following this path, and I'm thinking, my God, we're in Wisconsin. There's bears out here. What the hell are we doing? This first thing. So I'm getting more angry as we go deeper and deeper into the woods to see this natural waterfall. And I'm thinking, if I'm a bear, I like fish. I'm going to be at a waterfall catching fish. So I'm looking at my wife and I'm thinking, if a bear jumps out, I'm grabbing my kids and I'm knocking you down and taking off with the kids. Because I'm so angry that she's making me do this, right? So I understand Ryan Reynolds saying that's a real thing. You're going to do everything you can.
To me was, for me with my kids and that, it was literally like a light switch. Like I didn't have those feelings before.
That's 100%.
And it literally like clicked something that
100%.
Like biologically was like, okay, I will do whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
You know,
and I have to say,
I'm living or dying. It's just weird.
And I have to say, I hope that happens to me one day. But at 41 years old, I'm kind of
probably not. I've seen the girls.
I've accepted it. Well, redheads. Like that's all I can say.
So I mean, this might be a little off. John I've enjoyed our conversation so much. Would you be open to doing another one at a later date to talk about? Because we're talking so well, and it's going so fun. It's just like
we have so many stories we could tell you about paranormal experiences. I know on
our own stupidity on paranormal investigation.
If you're going live tomorrow, if I can get Larry,
hopefully
he'll be out of town.
I might jump on.
So by the time you're going live, I should be available. I'll be in California. I'll hop on live on.
I'd be glad. I mean,
I'm definitely going to hop on.
Larry and I did an investigation at the Kansas City Masonic Lodge, and I saw, as well as Rick, a shadow figure, and I'd be glad to jump in on what we found in that investigation.
And you decided to go chase after it because that's
totally smart. Well, he was coaxed.
I was the only one that went and looked. Probably not a good call.
Yeah, and I've got thousands of stories I could share.
Yeah, for sure.
Or we don't have to share. Just listen to
absolutely. Just if you guys want to come in, 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow.
Yeah.
What time I start on TikTok, and I would absolutely be willing to come back on because I didn't even tell my my rake story.
Yes, that's the one I'm really interested.
You have time for that?
I don't know.
I don't think it's a rake. I don't think it's a rake, but it's rake-like. Let's put it that way.
Do you have time for that now, or would you rather save for a different time?
That's up to you guys.
I say save it for another time.
Okay.
Yep. But we'd like to keep you on for as long as you can have, because no offense, I've enjoyed our conversation up to this point.
He's got a plane to catch.
No, I mean I can go another hour, I think.
Because I have more questions.
Yeah, let's see if Sean has more questions. Like, where do you buy your mullets? That would be.
Well, yeah, that's a main question.
You know,
Amazon. I can send you the link. It's easy. It's like $13 for 3 of them. It's.
Well, I'm gonna be wearing mullets.
You should.
That'd be a good look for you.
You already wear the trucker cap. You might as well throw one on. And like we've had.
By the way, I just got this hat and I love it.
Hell yeah, I like that.
But we've also had
you got blonde.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I can't see.
And we got black. So
I think the blonde looks better on you.
I like the one you're wearing now, though. I think it looks good on you. That's your best look right there.
I give out all the blonde and black ones to my friends, and I keep the brown ones for myself. So
I think the next time we get on and do another co-op, we'll have to get a couple of those just for you. Oh, that's a nice one.
Absolutely. Oh, that's reggae. Absolutely.
I wear my Rastafarian one.
Well, you're gonna have.
I got a blue one somewhere around here.
You have to send your address, and I'll send you one of our Parachum shirts.
Fuck yeah. I'll send you a couple books too that I've written.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, we're really big on giving stuff away for free. It's probably our downfall.
So I think we got the coolest T-shirt out there when it comes to.
No, I agree.
When it comes to.
The guy who drew it's a fucking genius. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he wears a helmet and rides a short bus, but he's a genius otherwise.
Truth hurts, but yeah.
So you had questions for John, so go ahead.
I wanted to segue back to Ohio, just in general.
Okay.
So my mom grew up in Ohio as a Mormon, not a Mormon. God damn it!
Where'd that come out? I was like, I don't know.
A Quaker.
A Quaker.
Same kind of.
No, they're not even close.
Okay, whatever.
Amish?
No, but they were like hardcore religious, and her mother, which would have been my grandmother. I think I only met her once. She died when I was like 2 years old.
Your mom's mom would be
my
your
mom's
grandmother.
Mom. Yeah,
that's correct.
That worked out.
I did not do good in college in genetics. I'll just say that.
That's K-State.
But my grandmother grew up and was very good friends as a kid whose father built they're called the Pyatt Castles.
Yeah, I've been there.
And she remembers, I guess, my grandmother telling her stories that she would like play in the castles as a kid and the grounds. Have you said you have been there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those are the ones that are over by East Liberty, Ohio.
Yes, they are. I've been trying to get into those, and they don't like to be associated with paranormal. And
what's the Pyatt Castles?
You won't be able to go in there as a paranormal investigator, but they do tours.
I actually reached out, and this was like probably 10 years ago. I reached out to the elderly lady that ran the castles and asked about the paranormal, and she said no. And then I on the phone, I talked to her about, well, hey, my grandmother grew up with the son of the builder and remembers playing, and we had this long conversation on the phone. I wish I had recorded it.
Which would be illegal, but you know.
Without permission.
Yeah.
But what Mama doesn't know doesn't hurt her. Are they, as a historical perspective, are they interesting to go like check out and see? Because I've never been to them myself, but
I think castle is
a loose term.
Yes, yeah. They're stone mansions is what they are.
Yeah, and I've seen pictures of them online.
They're pretty cool. I mean, I've been through both of them. They're really neat.
I just think it would be fun to go
there.
there.
I go back.
So I'm trying to know what this is about.
I was just curious if he...
Because it's in the area.
It's in the area. I was just curious if he'd ever been there. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
am I allowed to ask questions?
Whoa. Easy.
Slow down there.
I'm joking.
We're going to have to check you out again.
The main one I was curious to see if you had ever been to, and I know it's... I don't know if you're allowed to record or do anything or take pictures there, but it's the Snake Mound in Ohio.
Snake Mound.
Oh, Serpent Mound?
Serpent Mound, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
I think you were, the way I understand it, and that's actually not too far from Tar Hollow where I had my my Bigfoot experiences.
That's interesting.
I'm pretty sure you can take pictures. I'm not sure about video though.
Yeah, from what I've read,
because they've ran that one dude off who was trying to do that documentary down there.
Yep, that's why I was curious.
I'm not sure about the video, but I'm about 90% sure you can take still pictures.
Are these Indian mounds?
Yeah, like when you look at it from
you've never heard of Serpent Mound?
I've heard of it, but I really don't know the heritage of it.
He's had a sheltered life. We give him a hard time about this stuff. Yeah, no. Well, the bad part is there were more mounds than just the Serpent Mound that got wiped out because they weren't protected. That's a scary.
Yeah, I've got this map, and I made a joke about it in one of my meth camp videos. I called it my secret map that I got off Amazon. And it lists all these paranormal and his Bigfoot sightings, UFO sightings from Ohio, and it's like 5 foot tall and 4 foot wide, and it has all of them listed. There's thousands on this thing.
Really?
But it also lists Native American sites.
Kind of overlap.
When I bought this map, I paid, I think, like $12 for it, and it literally said one left when I bought it. So I made this joke. I was like, I got this secret map. It was the last one. Nobody else is getting one. You go on Amazon right now, and that thing's like $150.
No kidding.
Because I really do think I got the last one. But
Gold mine.
But yeah, it lists a lot of the burial mounds, and the Adena people were in the Ohio Valley, and that's who built all the mounds and all the Native American stuff in that area. So,
well, there was
I don't know who the
theoretical
I never heard
stories
that
of giants in certain mounds when they tore them down that the Smithsonian
Took the
came
bones.
out
And took the
and
bodies
and destroyed
disappeared. Not that I'm overreaching or anything. I
have you ever heard of his name? His last name is Zimmerman.
Robert?
I'll get back to you. No, I think it's like Hans or
Franz or
not Hans and Franz.
Is it Hans,
sorry, I couldn't resist that
Pump
one.
you up.
isn't Hans Zimmerman
I
like
do,
a...
I do want to say it's Hans Zimmerman,
I mean,
but that just doesn't sound right when
Yeah,
it's
'cause-
coming out of my mouth.
Isn't he like a musical score director or something like that?
Prophet.
No, he actually
Hans Zimmer.
he did a book called like Encyclopedia of the Mounds or something like that, and he discovered or found like 90 different mounds basically in my area, Indiana and Ohio, that were on like private property and stuff.
You know, we have one here in Kansas City that no one knows about. It's down next to the Kansas City
Would
Museum.
it be Fritz Zimmerman?
Fritz.
Zimmerman, there you go.
That's it.
Fritz Zimmerman.
Thank God for Google.
Yeah, Google really helps.
Yes. But I was listening to him on a podcast, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, he found stuff in my area. Well, after I call it The Thing. You watch my YouTube channel, it's my encounter that I had back in November with the rake-like creature. I started looking into all this stuff in my area, you know, like what the hell's going on here? Oddly enough, in the county that I live in, there was a mound found with oversized skeletons.
No way.
Yeah, literally like 10 minutes from my house.
No, so when you guys say... I'm sorry.
Okay,
Go
that's
ahead,
okay.
I'm sorry.
What happened to the remains?
Smithsonian took care of
The
it.
Smithsonian didn't take them.
Fritz did.
I don't know what happened to
Well,
them.
that's the problem.
I don't know what happened to
Yeah,
them.
no. I mean, all the ones I have researched, they found the mounds after they've like tore them down. They find these, and most of the stories that I can find talk about the Smithsonian because they notify the government about it, and we're talking like the early 1900s.
And don't they legally have to?
Well, that's
For-
what they.
for
Well, no,
remains.
Well, they
actually,
trusted the government back then.
yeah. The problem
Well,
was
there is that,
they
right?
weren't historical sites. It wasn't until the 1940s that we started realizing these mounds. Oh my God, they're megalithic structures by. And when you talk to the Native Americans in the area, predate their civilization. They're like, oh no, those have always been there. They're a secret area, like Arkansas, Kansas, Ark City. That was a site of 1 million plus people, Indian population that were just now realizing how big the city was. There was one now they're figuring out in
That's true,
KC.
that's true. Yeah.
That so what happened was when not Columbus but who came after for the Fountain of Youth
Ponce de Leon.
when he came in, we brought a shit ton of diseases
Yeah.
and it wiped out. So we literally
We would hand it off to him in blankets.
well, no, that was later. We
Okay.
did that at a different point. But when
horrible people.
the Mayflower showed up, we were literally landing on the land of Native Americans that literally went through the apocalypse. And what we saw of what they had was just the stragglers left of wiping out millions of people because of the other people.
Metropolis.
But in theory,
don't you have to?
My temple.
Don't you have to notify authorities though when you're digging and find
You're
burial
supposed
remains?
to, but at that point in time, they weren't even considered historical sites.
So when you're talking about, I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off.
Go ahead.
When you're talking about oversized bones, like
On average,
say-
8 foot or larger.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
pretty big.
it was so because that was one of the arguments. They're like, well, when somebody dies, their bones get spread out, and you have to take in. And the problem was they're like 8 to 15 foot tall,
Maybe an inch or two.
Yeah, and that was the problem. They're like,
foot or
well, if they'd been 6 foot to even 7 foot, would have been maybe because of the way these people. And then the rumor is they had double rows of teeth, which goes into the Nephilim theory.
Exactly.
Really, I never heard that.
You're absolutely right.
Dude, yes.
Double row of teeth.
Double rows of teeth, 6 digits on fingers and hands. That all goes back to the Nephilim, and you start looking at
which were cannibal because they didn't have the effects of eating. Like if you eat a human, you're gonna have all sorts of diseases because the way Homo sapien has been evolved. The dose was the Division or the there's a different breed of humans that didn't have this problem, and there's
I don't.
I think we might have to have another conversation on that.
Let's go down that road.
We can have conversations on whatever you want. This stuff is. I just love it.
I just saw your eyes light up. I'm like, okay, that's probably another 2-hour conversation because I would love to get in that.
So does this correlate with the crystal skulls, the Nephilim?
Yes, absolutely. No, well, kind of, because
we're
gonna have to stop. We're gonna have to stop because we're gonna do this for hours, and I gotta take a piss bad. So,
do we need to take a? Can we take a 30-minute break?
Go ahead, and take a break, man. Come on back.
Let you pee. Come back, and then let's talk about
time, John.
If you have time.
Okay, guys, I have a meeting with my wife.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
You better keep that meeting, my man.
Yeah. It's Valentine's weekend. Let's leave it at that.
That's fair.
Hey, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
We're looking forward for more collabs if you have the time.
Yep.
Been a great pleasure. Enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely.
There's a couple bucket lists I want to hit you up on what you want to do and your bucket list for areas and things to do. So hopefully we get to continue this conversation at some other time.
Yeah, and if you could text me at that number that you texted me the link for this, your email address, I will send you a copy of our video so that you can see all three of us in discussion. For yours, if that'll help with your podcast.
Hey, John, thanks for your time, man. We know we kept you way too long. Enjoy your time with your wife. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, and I do appreciate you guys reaching out to me. It's nice. It's nice whenever I am, like I said, super new to all this stuff, and when I have people like yourself, and I don't want you to get too big of heads because you weren't the first people to reach out to me. But
I'm good with the fourth or fifth person.
But it does mean a lot when as small time podcasters, which we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have to work together.
Absolutely.
to network and make these connections and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it, and we are definitely going to have more conversations.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna have to look this Nephilim stuff up
because I like this format where it's just us talking.
Yeah.
Because I think you can learn a lot more, and I'm going to be honest with you, my views on things like views as far as how many views I get are a lot better on this kind of format than they are with just me sitting down and asking, okay, so what kind of ghost did you see?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can understand that.
So yeah.
All
so
right.
yeah. So we will definitely do this again.
Okay.
And I again, thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Love your channel, TikTok, YouTube.
Good stuff.
Great stuff. I mean, I know you're growing it as it is, but keep up the great work.
Yeah.
I was so happy when OG mentioned you guys have been talking and we've been trying to get together. So I'm looking forward to more collabs.
And we'll promote as much as we can. On
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I appreciate that. I do. And like I said, whenever this comes out, I'll be putting all your links and stuff on there too.
Yeah.
So But come in the live tomorrow.
Oh, I'll be there.
Absolutely. I think we should
all 7 people that are going to be watching.
Hey, we only pulled 5 from Brussels, so I can't complain.
Yeah, we understand. We're strong in Brussels. Other than that, we're
And if you see someone tomorrow night asking random weird questions, that's just me.
Yeah, we know it's Liz.
Yes, that's it, Parrot Chum.
Have a great night, my man.
All right, man.
Yeah, be safe.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe.
And check out Myth, Monsters, and Mullets.
Yeah.
With John.
What a wonderful guy.
Yes, great. I can see us having a lot more conversations with them because we only scratched the surface of what John's dealt with and what we've dealt with.
Yeah, and his outlook on Nephilim and the giants and knowing the 2 rows of teeth. I mean, that's something that blew me away 20 years ago. I'm like, these guys had 2 rows of teeth? Are you kidding me?
I'd never even heard that before.
I can't.
Yeah, you're too busy.
He brought it up, and all of a sudden, like, ding, 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 it went off. I'm like, oh my god. I remember
his lies.
Yeah,
his eyes just lit up. I was like,
I remember
Jesus.
all of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he already messaged me his email address. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a good dude. So,
Great.
Stand
Well, like I said, I think his TikTok's good.
Yeah.
I think his YouTube, where he gets to talk long format's way better. Because, I mean, he's funny. Great clips.
Yeah.
But, when he has conversations like that with people, he just comes across as a great person.
Yeah. And you, well-spoken.
Oh, yeah.
Very intellectual person.
And very, not empathetic, but sincere.
Yeah.
Great guy. Like
no reason not to listen to that guy.
And by the way, I didn't see anything in the mirror, so you're in the clear. That rhymes. I didn't mean for it to.
But great voice too. I mean, like comes across on.
No, he's got a good voice.
He's got a good voice for this.
So,
I mean, I think, and when the mullet helps.
And
absolutely.
By the way, if anybody would like to know what to donate to us, if they want to donate something, it's the first time I've ever had Johnny Walker Black Label. The stuff is awesome.
Try the double black if you like black, but that's just personal.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I don't care what I drink.
And you know what? We had a good night, guys.
Yeah,
we had 2 wonderful interviews and things we can throw out there, and
we got the Paracons that come up shortly. Yeah, I mean, like
we didn't even talk about what we were going to talk about tonight, like the Jersey Devil and attachments. And all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, not so far.
Until next time, keep drinking.
Be safe.